This exact lead scraping system makes me over $100,000 a month consistently and has helped hundreds of entrepreneurs get their very first 5 clients and businesses to scale. Most free lead guides that you see are either outdated, expensive, or frankly just don't work. But after spending years building lead generation systems for my own business and for clients, I'm going to show you the full system that you can follow that will get you high quality leads without paying for super expensive APIs. I'm going to show you how you automate the process of getting leads, taking you from beginner to expert. There'll be timestamps down below this video, so feel free to jump around as you like. And as always, I'm going to put the blueprints down below in the description so you can build along with me in real time. So welcome to the world's most comprehensive masterclass on lead generation on YouTube. Now, the goal of this is to take you from beginner to expert. So you can build really cool lead generation systems that actually work. Now, I'm going to show you 8 lead generation systems in this video. And they've generated millions of dollars. For example, in my AI agency, Teddy AI, we've helped clients do it. I built it in my own businesses. These are extremely effective. But I can give you nothing without a reality check. My purpose of making this video is to help you build systems that get your leads reliably and work. But if I don't give you these brutal truths, none of what I talk about in this video is going to work. If you're not getting clients, or you're not getting as many clients as you are now, and you're feeling frustrated that you're not getting the clients that you think you deserve, it is not the fault of the market. It is your offer or your execution. Something is wrong in one of those two things. And this is great news, because what we talk about is extreme ownership and owning the fact that you're not getting leads because something has gone wrong further upstream. Now, here's a question for you, and this is really important context to understand. How many people do you think buy your thing after the first contact, the first email, the first DM, the first outreach, the first phone call? What percentage of sales do you think that is? I'll give you a second to think about it. Only 2%. Only 2% ever buy on the first contact. And this is really important. I'm going to bust some truths here that's going to drastically increase the number of leads that you get. And 1 out of 2 give up on their first contact. They literally stop him. And this is your competition, which is great news. Now, 1 out of 10, 10%, the top 8% who make over 5 contacts win the majority of deals. I really want you to sink in with this, because I can give you the best lead generation systems on the planet, but if you don't understand this concept, it's never going to turn to clients for you. Literally, the top 8 to 10% are having all of the deals because they're doing all of the follow-up. Now, none of these epic systems work if you do nothing. Well, this guy can do nothing. It's a beautiful, beautiful little sausage dog. We're happy with him doing nothing. The profit is in the follow-up. This is the only thing you ever take from this video. This was an extremely worthwhile video for you. The profit exists in the follow-up. And what we're not going to do here is spray and pray and hope for the best and send generic emails out to people. I'm going to show you actual systematized things that you can do with proven data that will actually work. And since you're in the top 10%, I'm going to show you how to stop leads feeling like it's some kind of magic, to get them with a repeatable system. And for full transparency on the costs for every single automation system that I show you in this video, so that you're not overpaying. I'm also going to show you how you turn those leads, once you get them, into a profitable funnel. Because once we've got the leads, next thing we need to do is turn them into actual clients. In 1848, we had the gigantic California gold rush. Thousands of people went down there to try and dig gold, but only a few ever actually found the gold. The ones that did knew exactly where to dig. Now, in this analogy, the pickaxe is our lead generation system. It's the thing that gets us leads, but knowing where to dig is your niche. Now, niche is so powerful, and I can't talk about giving you the most beautiful ever like pickaxe if we don't talk about exactly what it is that we need to do and where we need to dig. I can give you any kind of leads, but are they the right leads that you want? So very simply put, there are 3 aspects that we care about when it comes to leads. And this is the things that I think about when I think about my niche. The first one is we're looking for somebody with a pain point. Specifically, does the niche have a massive quantifiable financial pain? In other words, the problem that you're solving when we're trying to figure out, okay, we're getting leads, but who do we want? We want that person to have a quantifiable financial pain. Because if I say, hey, Jack, this is costing you $15,000 a month and it's only going to cost you $5,000 to fix it, that's an obvious yes. Now think about it like this. If they lose $30,000 a month without you, a 5K per month retainer, it makes perfect sense. But the problem is a lot of people target leads that just aren't that valuable. That's number one. The second thing that we want is this, which is purchasing power, as this guy in a beautiful pink Ferrari swimming in money actually perfectly explains. The idea with this is that does the target decision maker have the authority and the ability to spend $10,000 a month? So we need to ask these questions, because when we're doing these lead generation scraping systems, we're going to be specific about who it is that we want to speak. And so we may not want to get the junior executive's assistant's best friend, because they're not really in a position they can actually make calls decisions. So we will target different parts of the organization, of course, but ideally we want to find someone who actually has capacity to make the purchasing decisions. And finally, presence. These are the 3 Ps. And the presence is that can we actually find over 1,000 contacts that fit this bill? So for example, targeting small business owners is difficult, but targeting heads of marketing B2B SaaS companies with this number of employees is a lot easier. Okay, beautiful. Now, we talk about here, which is the big and beautiful ICP, also known as ideal client profile. And the analogy I want to throw this at is that like the ICP is the scope. The ICP says, I know that I could get any kind of leads, but the knowing who we're trying to target is like the scope on a sniper rifle. And the job of this video is to give you a big, beautiful sniper rifle that you can target our beautiful ICP with, right? And all we're talking about here is the scope. And as you can see, my beautiful circle drawing skills are right there. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about ICP. Ideally, when we know who the ICP is, we can draw a big and beautiful X on the map, because we know exactly the kind of individual and business that we're targeting. Now, if you're somebody who hasn't gotten their first 5 clients yet, I discuss this at length in the community. We have systems and process to show you exactly how you go from 0 to getting your first 5 clients nailed down and locked down. But the thing that I really want you to understand, if you don't know this yet, and what is going to be really important for you to understand to actually turn these clients into customers, is writing down their, with a big capital P, problem statements. We need to understand what are the things that cause them pain, and we need to have a list of those things so we can really understand what are the things they dislike and what are the things that they're moving towards that they actually want. And even though it's outside the scope of this video, I just want to briefly give you 2 quick things you can do if you haven't started yet. One is what we call the high leverage pain, which is finding that 10K per month at least headache that we're solving for the client, and then having your measurable high value problem. And secondly, the fit. In other words, can your system eliminate that problem? But the final point I want to make, and it's going to be so valuable as a foundation for this video, is what I call the compass. Now, the idea with the ICP, and you'll find this when you're getting leads, is that think of it more as a theory rather than a set in stone thing. And what we do is we refine our ICP as we go. We start off with, I think they're this. And then we take, say for example, that you and I are on the beach together, okay? And we're mining for gold, right? We follow the beeps. So we make an educated guess. I think the beeps are here. And we go there. And did the beeps increase? No? Okay, cool. Then we need to go check over here. So it's not something set in stone. It's something we have a theory about. We think that these kinds of people, we test the leads. And if we get a rock solid offer, like I'll show in this video, and it isn't resonating, then we just pivot the ICP. But really, really important to understand. And now we've covered those important things on niches, I'm going to show you 8, get my fingers out, lead generation systems that are going to crush it. If you haven't already, guys, grab that coffee. This is going to be really fun. So I'm going to show you how to get clients. I'm going to show you how to scrape leads. I'm going to show you how to enrich the data so you can actually contact them. I'm going to show you how you create personalized emails. Also, how you can create bespoke LinkedIn messages for that client based on their profile. And I'm also going to show you how to get people coming to you. Now, there's a lot of information out there that's not been said, and I'm going to kind of pull back the curtain and show you some really interesting things here. But first, there are 2 parts to this. One is scraping, which is probably one of the reasons why you clicked on this video. And the second is organic. Remember, my objective here is simple. I want to make you getting clients as simple and as easy as possible. And I have to explain the full picture. Otherwise, I'm not doing my job properly. Now, we're going to call these our 2 systems. System 1 is scraping and system 2 is organic. Now, lots of people start with scraping. They start with trying to go out and find leads using the platforms and systems that I'm about to show you. But they end up in organic to really take it to 7, 8, 9 figures plus to get into crazy territory. Now, scraping, think of it like this. Our system 1 is to automate high volume, targeted lead generation for free, or essentially free, low cost. Whereas organic is a self-reinforcing system that compounds over time and replaces the daily grind with scalable leverage. This is the thing that we want. If I said, which of these two things would you like? Most people would like the replacing daily grinding with scalable leverage, right? Which is why I'm going to include it in this video and show the systems that I've used personally to generate millions of dollars. I'm going to cover both as this beautiful smiley face starts. And I'm also going to show you as well how 82% of people get their first 3 to 5 clients once I've shown you those two things, because this is really important information. Now, this is the lead scraper that I'm going to show you how it works basically. So effectively what this does is we grab leads from a scraper on Apify. Now what's really important about this is that everybody was using a basically technology called Apollo on Apify. Now if you're not familiar, Apify is like Willy Wonka's emporium of beautiful scrapers. You can effectively scrape anything you want to with the software here. Now what happened was there was a scraper called Apollo, which is connected to a really good lead enrichment database, that basically stopped working. So everyone's like, well, what the hell do we do now? I'm going to show you what we do now. But effectively, the way this works is we select a scraper that goes off and scrapes information. And this comes back to our no-code platform, which, if you're not familiar, is, I'm sure many of you will be at this point, N8N, which just basically lets us connect things to other things. I flew up to New York. I competed in their first ever AI agent competition. It was very, very cool. A really cool platform. So what's happening? We are getting data from a scraper online. And this is going to be pretty much the 80% of all you ever do on these things. And we call this a request. Now, what we do in this request is we request the data and we also get the data back at the same time in one simple module, which is really cool. And again, I'm going to put all this down below in the description for you so you can just upload this and try it. Then we have this AI agent that does some really interesting things. So crucially, it does 3 very, very key bits of data for us. So we get leads, and I'm going to show you what this looks like right now. So I click on this, and this is an example of leads that we got. So I just basically said, look, I want you to scrape people in this. I'll show you the variables in a second, but it's really important that you understand what the flow looks like so you're equipped with the knowledge. Now look, we get first name, guys, last name, email, their full name, their job title, the company name, the website, the industry. All of this incredible information comes through based on stuff, the description of the company. We even get their LinkedIn profile. That's how crazy that is. And once we set what those parameters are that are important to us, that represent our ideal client profile, we then just go forward and get all of these different outputs. Now, that's really cool. So what does that look like in practice? Well, we kind of just take the data from that, and I've pinned it in N8N just so we can go through this. And then we have this beautiful AI agent that does a couple of interesting things. So what we do to the agent is we give it some really interesting information. We say, look, this is the name of the person. Basically, this is their company name, Executive Leaders, ELM, which I've seen a couple of times now, their website, the country which they're in, the LinkedIn profile, which will just be specific right here. I'll add this one down here. LinkedIn profile. Beautiful. And then a description of what the company does. So this AI now knows everything about, I say everything, but it knows who this individual is. Now, crucially, once we've got the data, we could, if we wanted to, just email it. But actually, what we kind of want to do is do some research so we can get what I would call personalized information so that we can end up with a database that looks something like this, where we have the company, the website, the name, the surname, first name, surname, the email, the title. Now, this is really interesting. I'm going to show you how you can actually create a unique LinkedIn request. We've got the industry, all this key thing. And then guys, you know what's really interesting here is the AI is actually going to go do research and pull back 5 key factoids about that individual, right? And also where it got the information from. So you can feel confident when you're using this information in your email campaigns. And I've just pulled up this email sequencing cheat sheet as an example here. Like when you've got these custom things, say, hey, first name, I noticed that your company recently had this interesting thing. We help similar company achieve XYZ metric, XYZ days. And you have this really cool, this sequence here, by the way, is proven to get some pretty incredible results. In fact, I believe it's an expected 15 to 25% reply rate across the 5 emails that it sends. It's really, really, really good. Like I told you earlier, the reply rate to everything. So you can basically now customize these beautiful 5-step sequences. And the second they reply, they then go into warm leads and then we nurture them properly. But the idea is that we've collected these unique facts about them, right? So what they do and recent awards that they've won and all this kind of stuff. Now the AI, what it's doing here is basically scraping the LinkedIn profile. So it's going to the LinkedIn profile and finding information about their bio, what what did they study at, what jobs have they held, what kind of things are they talking about. So we get that data. We also go over to the website and we just download the information. We're doing this via a HTTP request, where basically it has get and company website, which we just mapped from this. Really simply, we just map it over and then it downloads everything. which is really freaking cool. And we get that in JSON, which is nice. And then we also have Tabbly. Now, what Tabbly is going to do is effectively go on the internet and ruthlessly research the individuals for it. So I even show you here, for example, you can even see, like, it just goes to different responses. It will go back and have a look, and you can see the kind of things it's Googling. And as you can see, guys, it does interesting things like, look, query is Kate, awards, promotions, speaking events, publications, achievements, anything you can get back like that, that's really interesting, that will be relevant to them. And then it shows you and does that. So we're doing the LinkedIn, we're doing their website, and also searching the internet, which is pretty cool. And then we have these two models. I would recommend that you use ChatGPT. Well, you can use either, but when it's creating copy, we like Claude. And when it's doing other things, I just like using ChatGPT. It's a personal preference. I just find that Claude writes in a more natural way that resonates with me. So this agent is doing the research on those three things. Now, once that has happened, we have got a second agent that is going to create a subject and a one-liner for us. Now, what's interesting here is this concept of probabilism and determinism, which is a really key thing to understand. You need to get this in AI. Probabilism is where we say to AI, hey, I want you to write an email based on all this information. And you ask it 10 times, you get 10 completely different emails. Determinism is that the outputs are very determined. So in other words, the email sequence, say for example, this one is always the same with one core exception. We may change the first name. That is hard coded in. So that's all. The email's always going to read hi first name, right? And it's going to be I noticed, and the company is always going to be the company. But then this thing here, which is specific trigger event, is going to be very different based on the research. So the concept here is that we throttle these outputs so that only a certain part of it is probabilistic. Because as you know, AI is a basically next token prediction machine. So it just kind of, that's why, for example, if I said the cat in the 90% of the time, you guess is going to say hat, but some of the time it's going to say a different answer. So the idea here is that we give it these little snippets to fill in. So the AI is actually going to create this. Now, what's really interesting here is the fact that the AIs, like I always say, are 200 IQ interns. And what we want to do is have one AI out this one very specific thing. So the only thing this guy does, the only thing it does is create a subject and a one-liner. That's it. Okay. So for example, this is the subject line, which is quick question about Executive Network's upcoming finance summit. Why is it saying that? It's saying that because in our lead system over here, the subject line for email one is quick question about company's specific trigger event. So the prompt for this one is really cool, which is quick question about the company's network's upcoming finance summit. Okay. Beautiful. Now, this is really cool. Okay. So you got to think about now. This is mass personalization on scale, guys. It is crazy. And this is the full system for it. I noticed that companies recently insert specific trigger event. So this is the reason we include this, just FYI, is it looks like you've actually done some kind of research, some kind of personalization. It's interesting. Okay. Now, I noticed that insert companies recently hosted a 500 person CPO summit in London. Like, you imagine that you just did a meetup. So for example, in my community, for instance, we do meetups in all over the world, like Dubai, London, Germany, you pretty much name it, we're doing a meetup there. Imagine if I got an email saying, hey Jack, so you just did a meetup in Dubai. Really freaking cool. Like, no one's really saying that level of personalization, but we've got that because we've got the website, the LinkedIn data. Really cool. So this is what this guy does. It gives us now personalization. And the idea with this is that we would build out simply 5 of these really simply. This is cool. We copy this guy. And this is the kind of thing that we're building for clients, guys. Clients really freaking love this because it just prints and it's just super freaking effective. So look, I come down here and then this would be subject and one-liner 2. Okay? Bam. And then what we do here is just do the next one. And you can just literally start creating all of these things sequentially. Okay. So let's come back here. So we've got this information. And again, I've just included one email just so I can show it you in a way that makes perfect sense and you get it. But the idea here then is we've got all the data. Now we just create and backfill all the information that basically fills in our stuff. And I put down here a list of the things that you're going to want to get, which is going to be triggering event, interesting fact, personal detail, specific pain point related to the role. So what this is like with your ICP, do you know how I told you that you need to get a list of pain points? So the idea here, for example, would be something like, one of the pain points that I help in my education business is, if you're feeling frustrated that you don't have as many clients as you want to, right? And if you, even though you're working really hard and you're trying AI, that's a pain point that I've solved, and I help people do that. Loads of people do that. So that would be one of the pain points that I would talk about in my education business, right? And then you got a similar company. So this would be an example of, here are like 20 people that like were exactly like you that now have all these beautiful clients, and they didn't know what they were doing initially, and now they're doing X, Y, Z. So I can say, hey, we just helped so-and-so, or if I'm looking from a business point of view, we just helped another medical company build a RAG system that accomplishes this exact same thing. So it's about credibility and proof. Proof kills. Honestly, proof is crazy. And then you got a specific metric in your results. So your actual results, remember, specific numbers are better than anything else. And then you've got different facts and what you think that project can goal. Now, your email campaigns are going to be way more effective the more specific you can be and the more that you understand who you're talking to, which is why I wanted to include that thing on Niche and ICP, because I'm not doing my job properly if I don't. Now, we've got that. Then crucially, interestingly, is LinkedIn one-liner. So growing on LinkedIn, and we're going to touch on LinkedIn lead generation later in the video. Very excited to share some cool stuff with you that I'm learning on that with the systems that we're building, is we want to create a bespoke one-liner, right? And we've been hitting my mic. That's how fired up I'm getting. And there's lots of really interesting things. And I have to draw your attention to this because this is really, really interesting data, right? Let me just come over to my community and show you this. So I went really deep on what is actually working with LinkedIn, and I found some very interesting facts. And this was kind of what I was doing when I was creating this video for you. So you can get 78% acceptance rates with LinkedIn. And the idea is you can only send 20 requests per day. I'm going to show you the full strategy in a second, right? But there's loads of stuff that I've just baked into this system for you here. So you just take the system, it's just all there for you. But there's loads of things about you do and you don't do, right? About pre-warming up, about your connection request. You want to be specific, show genuine interest, explain why, you keep it short, you sound human. What you don't do is vague, generic, blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of templates you can use, examples at work, all this sort of stuff, right? So the idea is that we've built all this stuff into LinkedIn Tester. And what it does is, based on, again, all the information from LinkedIn profile, we'll create that for you. And then all we fix after that is we just add them all to the database, and then you're ready to go for the campaign generation, start kicking some butt. Which is kind of pretty cool news, guys, isn't it? So let me show you briefly now on Appify how it works. So effectively what we do is we would look over here. I'm going to go over to my actors real quick, and you're looking for Leads Finder. Okay. Now the price of this is $1.50 for 1,000 leads. It's an alternative to Apollo. Now, as they've had to pivot quite quickly, sometimes it doesn't always give me the results exactly as I'd want to. They're working on those bugs actively. So this won't be 100% perfect 100% of the time. I'll be really transparent about that with you. It is the best alternative that I've found. When Apollo changed their information data points, basically, all the kind of scrapers that were running on Apollo stopped working. So this is like the best pivot that I've seen recently. And as it changes, I will give you the most recent one that I actually find that will work for you. So effectively what we do is we specify things like number of leads to fetch, job titles. Again, you can be specific. I found job titles, guys, to be honest with you, not that helpful personally. And that's just because everyone calls themselves everything. Like I think technically, I don't know what my title was, but like it was something completely random that would never ever appear in this stuff. You can pick the specificity, so the countries and the cities. If you're going to be doing local stuff, you can include location to exclude, email status. I'd definitely recommend you have validated. Company website, size, 21 to 50 I've got down here. Industries, you can be specific on that, keywords, revenue, all this beautiful stuff. Now, when this is done, you're going to click on the JSON. So basically go down this, and again, I'll put a link down below for Appify. I believe they give you like 30% off or something with my link. So I'll put that down below for you. And you have the number of leads to fetch. I'd recommend that you start with a slightly smaller batch initially. Although really, guys, $1.50 for 1,000 leads is really, really freaking cool. I think I scraped like 30,000 leads this week. It was crazy. But the point here is that we want to start with a certain amount. You're going to specify everything. But on a JSON, like if I change this, for example, if I job title, if I just say something like, I don't know, CEO, I add that in. Do you see how now I click onto JSON that this has changed to CEO, job title CDO? So basically just specify that as much as you want to. And then what I want to do is copy this. And by the way, you'll see the blueprint. What you effectively do with these things, guys, is you click on these dots, you click on import from file, you select the thing, and then the entire thing will populate for you. So just so you know, like, and that's how you sort of get access to all the blueprints. Now, once you've done that, you're going to come over here, click on this guy. You are then going to come over here to the token here, which my editor, my chief blurring officer, has kindly blurred out for us. But basically what you're going to come down here is this JSON section. And you see I've got this information. Just Control A, delete it, and then enter in your code, okay, that's going to be specific for you. Now, you don't need to come and do this in N8N if you don't want to, but one of the reasons I like doing this here is because then I can add all the follow-up things to it without having to manipulate the data. So it just makes it easier. And obviously you can add in forms and things at the front if you want to. So we do that. Then we need to get your API key. So just for those who may not know where it is, you come down here to Apify. Actually, you come down to settings, you come over to API and integrations, and just click the copy button. That's basically it. And then you come back over to your scenario, and then when it says value, you just paste in there. And once you've done that, it's ready to work. And then we've got our AI agent. So I've connected mine to ChatGPT and Claude. If you've never connected it to OpenAI before, just go into platform. In fact, let me show you right now, just so you've got it, platform.openai.com. Once again, come down to it on the left-hand side. I need to sign into this one, but effectively you'll see a button for API key. Just copy it in the exact same way. Same thing with Claude, but I'll put a link down below for you there. And then basically we've got the whole system. And just to show you the prompt real quick, we can come down here. You can see it all effectively plays very nicely. Your sales intelligence researcher, fill with personalized information, research steps. You can use Tavily, you can do the XYZ, and then I've got the outputs. Now, here's a really important part of this is that with the outputs here is I have specified with an output parser what I want. So I want fact 1, explanation 1, fact 2, explanation 2. So I want the unique point, and then I also want the research. So you could go one step further if you wanted to, which is to have a second AI to validate, which is this true? You know, you can really get on in depth with this sort of stuff. So look, Lee Vital is currently the growth manager at FlipCX, a software company in the UK that provides Alexa-like voice AI. Cool. You found Levi on LinkedIn's profile. Okay, so that's from his LinkedIn. Let's have a look at what else we've got interesting things. So there you go. They announced the CSAT and revenue analytics in January 24 as per Crunchbase News. Beautiful. And you got these different things, voice automation launch for healthcare. There you go. Okay. FlipCX is backed by top investors, including Amazon, Alexa, IDA, blah, blah, blah. Very, 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 very cool. And then we just go through and it just populates everything for us automatically in a Google Sheet. And just from that, guys, you'll have everything you need to using this particular scraper, which means you can get thousands of leads just following that system step by step. And just to show you an example of this, I've got the subject one-liner, so I'm going to hit play on this with the data we've already got, and we've pinned everything before. And by the way, if you're brand new to N8N, you've never built anything before, you can watch this video up on screen where I show you the complete basics of building this all stuff out step by step. So look, it's basically creating now a subject and a one-liner, so I can click on this guy and have a quick look. Quick question about Executive Network's upcoming CFO Summit. I noticed you hosted a large CFO Summit in London. Very, very cool. So let's pin this one here real quick. And then what we're going to do is bring this guy over and have a little chat. So let's give the LinkedIn one-liner a thing to see now, based on all this information, what would it do with that? So let's come down here, have a quick look. And then beyond that, guys, we have the LinkedIn one-liner. Now, again, this is using the LinkedIn scraper on Apify. So just to show you what that is very quick, you come over to Apify Store and you just type in LinkedIn once again, and then we should see the LinkedIn scraper. It's a job scraper, post scraper. Again, we can scrape the posts and just get all that key information if you want to, or just go for the home profile. Posts will give you a lot more significance and more detail about stuff they've actually said, especially if you want to connect. But I'll come over to the beautiful scenario, which I have right here, and click on play, and you can get a good example of how this will work. So we've got our model, our backup model here. It's now scraping their LinkedIn, and it will give us a one-liner message that we can set. Now, what's really cool here and that I want you to do on LinkedIn is I want you to give it context about who you are. So just give this LinkedIn one-liner AI agent here specifics on your background, your university, things that you do. Because what this LinkedIn agent will do, guys, is actually go through your background. Like, hey, Todd, I saw that you also studied law at the University of Sheffield. Like if someone said, hey, Jack, you studied law at University of Sheffield as well, I'd be like, dude, yeah, that's so cool. So it's trying to find commonalities. It's got like 7 or 8 different commonality filters that it's using. So just give it information about you, like a page worth of data. You can even just copy it from your LinkedIn profile. And then you can see it has some interesting thing there, right? And just gives us different options that we can use based on information. And then it just all updates to Google Sheets. So let me just show what that looks like. And if I just play this, you'll see the data being added down here like bap, bap, bap as we go through. Just give that a hot second and then we should see it fall through. And then this will just keep on working all the way through your entire lead base. So you've got a big and beautiful lead base script for effectively $0. Now, number 2 is the beautiful Google Maps. Now, if you're a business that has a need to speak to people in a local and specific geography, you want to book yourself in for this one because it is crazy. Let me show you what I mean. So this scenario we're using, now there's 2 ways that you can do this. You can do this with Apify and without Apify, because we can't actually just enter in a specific search term that will, for example, if I go onto Google Maps real quick and I say, hey, barbers in Leeds, which is a search term my barber in Leeds is amazing. I highly recommend where is Ambassador Barbering down here? I'm getting down a rabbit hole. But the point is, if we were a leads-based manufacturer of clippers, this information is really important for us, right? But I don't want to stand here clicking for 15 hours. I just want to scrape it, which is why this is perfect for those kinds of scenarios or businesses that you're servicing. Now, what's interesting here, and I did this when testing with you guys, and I always want to be super honest about what isn't working. That's just the way that I am about it. When I had a HTTP scraper that was going on Google Maps, I just found that it wasn't really getting anywhere near the quality of the data for various different reasons. So what I've opted for instead, I found a little more reliable, was just the Google Maps scraper from Apify, realistically. PS, by the way, in my first tech startup that I sold, physical mail is a very, very uncongested channel. Like, we were selling to developers at one point, and I sent a brick to every top developer in the UK, to their head office. And it was some kind of funny joke, like, I forgot what it was at the time, but we had like 15% response rate to that, and it was only like a couple £100 or something. It was really, really cool if you want to go for like big whales and stuff. It was very effective. So you can another Google Maps scraper, and again, you got loads of different things you can do here. But effectively what we're doing is we are grabbing the information. Now, I've got a form here to make it easy, just to show what that looks like. I click on here. What you're going to do when this runs is you're going to have a search term. Now, what you need to do with this search term, again, this blueprint is also down below for you, is enter in a plus in between the words. So, for example, if I wanted leads plus, where are we at now? Barbers. And how many results do I want? Let's say I want 20, and I submit. Now, once that data is completed, we get all of the data here in the edit field section, right? So again, we've got the query, and we've also got the string, which is cool. So, and then what this will do is basically go forward and scrape that information. So here, for example, this is pulled down dental clinics and leads as one that I just ran earlier. You can see we've got all of the key information, which is very, very nice. What we effectively do here is extract some of the data. So I've gotten so much data, but it's just very unorganized and unstructured. So what we do is we have this code node, and it'll extract the only 5 things that I really care about, which is going to be the name of practice, the address, the phone number, the website, and then a summary of everything that they do. And that's basically the code. If you're ever struggling, you can just say, ChatGPT, Claude, make me code that does this thing. That's straightforward, okay? So this is what the code I've got. And by the way, the way you would do that is you'd feed it the inputs. Then we have this system here, which is called, so the loop exists because we need to add a wait node into it. So you see this HTTP request. If you blast something too much, what starts happening here is it will start to fail when you're doing this at scale. So we have their website, and we just scrape the data from the website. We then have this thing here, which is going to extract text. So basically, instead of HTML, we get text. We wait a second, and we do this all the way over until it's all complete. And then it comes through to this beautiful AI agent, which is very, very cool. And this agent, once again, is going to go ahead and do some interesting things for us, which is basically give us 5 facts based on that information. So for example, they are a 5-star local rated dental practice. They offer free consultations. They provide Invisalign clear retainers starting from 2K, blah, blah, blah. So we've got some interesting information. And again, you just configure this as you wish. And then we just update it to the Google Maps section here, which is cool. And we've got our 5 facts. Now, obviously, just add in the where did you get the information from? And what we will do is just then superpower this guy with all of the researching firepower that we had from our last automation, right? So all you would simply do is come down and grab this information here so we can get all of the data and bring it off, paste it in. So you can make this research guy as powerful as you would physically like to do all the stuff for us. Then it just gets added into the Google Sheet. But the next question mark is, Jack, this is cool, but how do I now get their email address? Well, the service that I found really helpful, guys, is this one, which is anymailfinder.com. So we're going to head over there right now and find some cool stuff. So I'm over here. I'll put a link for all this sort of stuff down below. So within AnyMailFinder, what we do is we come on the left-hand side to bulk search. You get 50 credits completely for free, by the way, and click on upload the list. So you'd come over, you download your list real quick. So you come down, let's just download this as a CSV real quick. Beautiful. And then we're going to head over to bulk search and then update list. And so we're going to come down here for company search. Just click on this guy, and then we just upload the data basically. Beautiful. So it's pulled through all of the data. So then we'll just go through process. We don't need to give it a name per se. And then it's working. And what this will do for us is go and extract and grab emails. Now, here's the thing. You can do this technically for free, but if I'm being just brutally transparent with you guys, this is your business at the end of the day, right? You want it to be making you tens of thousands of profit every single month. And there are certain things where you've just got to invest a little bit of money to get a return. Like, think about it. Like, if you take my last startup, for example, I was putting in, I was doing my like comfy strategy job, basically. And I was investing money into that business every single month. I think it was in the initial stages, it's like 500 to £1,000 every single month with no return for 10 months. Then it broke even. Then it replaced my income, and then it made 10K, and then all the way up until I sold it and that sort of stuff. So it's good. And then we're talking here about dollars, right? We're not talking about $1,000. We're talking about dollars. So I just said this to say that like, it's good to avoid costs, but being realistic, you're trading off on time, quality, and money. So there is a value to your time. And what I'm saying here is that like, when you're thinking about completely zero cost stuff, like you sat in front of Google copying and pasting emails, sometimes paying like, I'm not saying go and buy any mail finder per se. I'm just saying like, just generally speaking as a principle, just think about your time when you're doing this stuff, because you could reinvest that time in actually selling and growing your business. So look at preview. Let's see how it's done. And guys, look at this. So now it's given us the actual email addresses, which I think is really freaking cool. So if I just say, hey, we'll download those 10 emails. That sounds fantastic. Yep, we'll have as a CSVs. And just like that, we've now actually created emails for us like this. Bam. And we got it. And now we've got all these different emails, which is amazing. And what's really cool with this, guys, is we can actually build this into an account. We're going to be showing you how you do that inside the community in a masterclass. I didn't want to make this far too complicated, but effectively that's how you can scrape. And now you've got literally anything. And then anytime that you want to get more information, like say, okay, so I've done Leeds dentists, but why don't I just do Manchester Smiths? I don't know how many Manchester Smiths there are, and I want 100 of them. Yeah. Then all you do, guys, is just this. And then the whole system works to an autopilot, getting you incredible leads. And to give you the specifics on pricing for this one, it is $4 per 1,000 leads, but as a business, it's $2.20. I'm not 100% sure on the business gold discount. I don't know if that's like a plan that Appify has, but effectively you're paying like 4 cents per lead, which is great. So if you have a product that makes like anywhere above like a couple of dollars, it shouldn't be too difficult to get a great ROI on that. Now, number 3 is a free alternative to this, but it requires a little bit more work. But on top of that, you can also scrape any data from any website effectively for free. So we're going to Google and we're going to find a plugin called Instant Data Scraper. Beautiful. And I'm going to come down, skip all these guys. You can tell it's big if the guys are trying to crush it. So we go over to the Chrome store and let's install this bad boy. We're going to add this one to Brave. 4.9 with 6.5K ratings. It's not so bad, right? Cool. So we've got this stuff here, which is decent. All right, cool. It's added in and it's almost like a Pokeball. So what I always like to do with my Chrome extensions is basically make sure that they are pinned. So it's come down and details, and we're going to add this one to the toolbar. Beautiful. All right. Now let's head over and do this together. So let's do the same thing again. Leads, barbers. Okay. Now, if I come over to maps, here's what's really cool. So let's say I want to scrape all these leads barbers as a for instance. Okay. Loads and loads and loads and loads and loads. And this doesn't just work for Google Maps. It works for any website possible. Look, I come over, I click on this guy, and it's going to open up full screen. And just like that, it has literally bought in all of these things instantaneously, which is crazy. And that is just absolutely freaking wild. And you can see they've got everything there, friendly staff, reviews, opening times, everything that you want. And it's sort of done instantaneously, which I think is absolutely crazy. Now, guys, I'm going to show you something else that is going to blow your mind. And this is a really cool trick. So come over to Google and basically you can type in site, for example, Instagram.com. Then you enter in your keyword in quotation marks, and then you're going to add in different alternatives to emails. I've just added 3 in here, gmail.com or yahoo.com or outlook.com. Check this out. I hit enter. Now look at this. What this is going to do is pull every single user on Instagram that because it's all indexed on Google now, that is a barber. So has barber in their bio, which we'd expect barbers to have, and has it in. So look, there's his email address. There's his email address. And just like that, we've gotten all these emails completely for free, which is not too bad, right? So what do we do then? We're going to click on our Any Mail Scraper guy. I'm going to full screen this guy, and let's just bring over here. I might need to, just kind of unfull screen him a little bit. Let's have a look, and let's bring up our Any Mail Finder guy, which is over here, I think. Okay, cool. So click on Locate Next button. So I'm looking for this. Let's just bring them up quick. So what we want to do is click on try. I think this is fine. That's the right table. So we can actually see if it's pulled through the emails. I think it has got the data. So you can actually physically go through and check, like there's an Instagram bio, there's a data. There you go. There's the actual emails, which are included there. But you can actually click on try another table if that's not what you want. So that is the one that we want, right? So basically keep going through until you find the one you want. Now, click on locate next button. You're going to come down and click on next, just like that. Then if you come over to, and just bring it back up again real quick. There you go. Once that's done, start crawling. Bam. And now this is just going to go through every page, grab everything, keep doing everything it needs to. Now, if I just click on stop crawling for a second, let's just see what we got. Okay, so what's happened here is I didn't use the right one, which is really good actually, because now we can just retry again. I can share it again properly. So let me just make sure it's all deleted. Cool. We click on this guy. Fantastic. Now we wanted to find the right data. So it's trying the table. It's this one. Cool. And then click on locate next button, come down to the bottom, click on next, bring him back. And then we can click on start crawl. And then it will just go from page to page, adding in all of the data for us. And just like that, guys, we just sit back. Where's our cup of coffee? Drink our beautiful coffee and just let Instant Data Scraper do what it does best. And I've just stopped this one as for instance, but guys, look at the level of this. This is crazy. And then what we can do with this, guys, is just download the CSV, run it through AI, extract the emails, put it into tables, and do a bazillion different things. And just like that, you've got a list of their followers, basically all their information, their Instagram URL. So again, now we can start reaching out to them. We can do a bazillion different things. And now we've covered that beautifully free lead scraping tool, I want you to think back to the California gold rush in the 1900s. We talked about the ones who could find the leads and how they made a lot of money. But the people who made the most amount of money were actually the people who were selling the gold diggers the shovel. And I want you to ask yourself this one question. Of all the agencies that you know, the AI agencies or even businesses, for example, in the space, who has the most amount of leads? And what is the one thing that they all have in common? If you think about it deeply for a second, it's that they all own media. And I told you earlier in this masterclass that people start off scraping leads in manual outreach. This is how I got my first business off the ground. I just Instagram DM people, hey, I have this really cool solution to this problem you have. But the way that people get leads in consistently, and this is something that no one's telling you, and I'm going to tell you the truth here, is it's media. You are creating digital assets that actually, and that is one of the best lead generation tools that you can do. And to some extent, people have been sold this lie, and I'm going to tell you the truth. You want to create content. We have a very, very specific window where you can build a personal brand and leverage it. And I'm going to show you now three different strategies you can apply to crush this. And I want you to bear in mind, it's to do as I do, not what I say. Like, think about that a little bit. Like, if you think of the top performers, like they can tell you you need to do X, Y, Z. Are they doing it? Or are they creating media? Are they creating content that attracts businesses that solve that problem? Do you see what I'm saying? And so these systems I'm going to show you have generated multi-seven figures for me, for businesses. And that's what I'm going to show you because they are super duper effective. And we're going to begin with Instagram. Now, these are ones that you can use in many different ways, but we've got Goku here having a rock and roll time. So what is a growth system that you can use on Instagram? And these are going to get more powerful as they go on, which is, I just think that's a cool way to structure this. So this is what we do. The first thing we do with Instagram is we find the content that's working. And by the way, this is a strategy that helped me to get to almost 40,000 subscribers in a matter of months and get around 300 emails a day just by doing exactly, and I wasn't an Instagram expert. I just did this process, so you can just copy them. We find out what's working. Okay. This is formats, topics, and engagement. So if you're talking about beautiful purple bottles, if you're talking about financial advisors, plumbing, architecture, you name it, whatever the thing is, we find the accounts that are crushing it. We look at the topics, we're looking for things that are highly engaged, and we find the formats. Once we've done that on a big list, we then build the scraper that I'm going to show you. And then we store the viral outliers into a sheet, which basically means every single week you get a full download break list of the viral outliers. And then what we do is capture emails in ManyChat. And so what ManyChat will do is send them a message, and I'll show you this in the system in a second, to say, hey, do you want this free lead magnet, this free resource? If so, you grab the email, you're ready to rock and roll, and then we nurture them to growth, which is cool. So Once you've done that, you can start to win. So let me show you exactly how this works in practice. Now, if you're just starting off on Instagram, this isn't an Instagram masterclass, but I just want to give you the TLDR of how you can actually generate leads from Instagram. Is you need to warm the account up first. This is something that I found. I wasn't sure if I was shadow banned, but basically you follow lots of similar accounts, you engage with them for a period of like 2 or so weeks. Then you need to post consistently every single day about the thing. If the more work you do in deconstruction, in finding the formats and styles that work well, the better you will do. Now, effectively, the way this works is you're going to, remember, everything is about hooks. For example, one of the things that we built in our accelerator, you'll find this really interesting, is you don't need to reinvent what works with that. So if I show you this thing on hooks, for example, if I say, hey, I'm doing a video on, I don't know, a scraping tool that makes getting leads very easy. What this will do is scrape like a massive viral database of hooks that have already been pre-validated. And it will do is give you 3 different ideas with specifics of that video working, and then actually enable you to create hooks yourself. And so anytime I create short form content now, I do this. You can get a library of like loads of viral hooks, and you basically just do stuff like this. So for example, hey, if you're if you're a sales pro struggling to find quality leads, you want to get automated pipeline, let's go with a 3-step plan. Everyone tells you finding leads online. No one shows you how to do it. Here's a 30-second step-by-step tutorial on how you can scrape this. If you want to end up wasting hours on cold outreach, then skip this video. So I just pick one and you run with it. So remember, hooks are pretty much everything with this stuff. Now, what we're going to do is we want to get a list of all the beautiful accounts. And again, I'll put this down below for in the description so you can just have this Instagram operating system here. We grab it. Basically, we just keep on scraping it again and again from Apify. And then we get the transcript and we just add it into this beautiful Airtable. And then when you're coming for ideas, you can go through to find out what are the outliers, what are the ones that have done really well, like 73,000 views, lots of comments. And you'll notice it's all about type the word XYZ down below and I'll send you over the video. So the concept of this is that we create a mini lead magnet. The way that I personally do it is I'll do a huge video. Okay, so for example, this video here I did on RAG, 14,000 views. I spent like a week building this. I put a lot of time into it and it's really good video. But what that means is I can then repurpose that content and use it across different platforms. And I have like lead magnets I can use. So the formula is you basically create short form content, you optimize the hook, you find out what works. And then you say, hey, if you want this full thing, just type the word X down below. Once we've done that, we then head over to ManyChat. And as you can see, some of these guys have thousands of runs. It really is crazy. So you just harvest emails. You come down, you're going to click on automation. You can duplicate or click a new one if you want to, but I'm just going to duplicate this for argument's sake. We come up this one, we click on this guy. And then basically, guys, what you do on the left-hand side, click on edit. Now, on a specific post or reel, you just click on next post or reel. So basically the next thing you post, this will work for, okay? And then you say, reply to the comments under the post. So this is just when they type the word, like scraper or your keyword, this will then reply to that with that. So say, hey, it might be like, hey, just DM'd you. Just DM'd you. Bam. Cool. Sweet. And then you've got the message they get and you can see how this all works on the right hand side. Then send me the link. And the only thing that you're looking to do, guys, you can add this thing in here, which is ask them to follow you before they get the link if you want to. Because Instagram's kind of like the cloud platform basically. And then what we do is on the link here, we just replace this with your lead magnet and then it just sits there. So I want you to get into the concept of creating content. You need to be creating content. Okay. It's like crucial to create content if you want to win. Uneasy mode. It's creating content. You've just got to get started. Now look, we basically enter a lead magnet there and then we just update. And then once that goes live, pretty much whenever anybody comments, they'll then get the lead magnet. Now, once we get that, we then begin the, lead nurturing thing. And that's the exact same process that I've done to scale to tens of almost 40,000 followers on Instagram now. I did this because what happens is when people comment on your Instagram, it boosts it up in the algorithm. It gets this kind of self-reinforcing cycle and you basically crush it. Number 5 is the beautiful LinkedIn. Now, key thing to understand about LinkedIn is that it has the highest net worth per individual user on the platform. And there's a reason that you need to understand why LinkedIn is so important to use now in 2025. Think about it like this. Less than 1% of the entire platform posts weekly. That, like, I'm not joking at those sorts of numbers. It is crazy. I don't want to say, guys, do not sleep on LinkedIn. Like, I recently started building my LinkedIn. I got one here, guys, 1,409 comments. I told you that RAG video, I can now repurpose that into multiple different assets. Now think about this. That's 1,400 people that I can now have a conversation with. Say, hey, James, saw you interested in RAG video. By the way, do you know anybody who needs help building these systems? And now I have thousands of people that I can have a conversation with, and you can post this stuff regularly. Like, it is a hugely underutilized platform. Think about this. Most people on LinkedIn work for a company and they can't really post regularly because they're too concerned about how's this going to look? What's this going to look like? So you as an entrepreneur have a superpower. So posting on LinkedIn absolutely crushes it. Now, the way that it works on LinkedIn, I'm going to come back to in a second, but I just want to show you that I'm not saying I have 1 million followers on LinkedIn. I've applied this stuff in my own personal business and I'm seeing incredible results from it. So I'm just going to, no cap, give you the stuff that's working for me. Now look at this. We have the platform here. I want to give you 5 quick hacks. As you can see, the numbers, the details, it is crazy how this stuff blows up. Let's look at 5. Number 1 is you need to cross the valley of cringe. Okay. So what do I mean by that? I mean that being cringe is what separates you from your results. Now, I spent years not creating a YouTube channel because I was thinking about what would people think, what my friends think, my colleagues, blah, 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 blah. In reality, I think it's crazy thing that right now, because it feels like second nature now, but that was an actual thought process I had. Now, most people will post on LinkedIn, they'll get 2 replies, 2 comments, and they don't post again. It is one of the highest numbers thing ever. One of my friends that I met at the school games got $0 to $50,000 in a month, which is not typical, by the way. I want to be clear, that is not typical, but he did it. Obviously he had a lot of work done before that by LinkedIn. He'd create posts, he'd have engagement, and he'd sell them in DMs. Really, 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 really freaking cool. Number 2, the first thing we do when you want a LinkedIn account is find 20 similar accounts. So for example, I would go in, if I would search AI automations, and I'd just find the best accounts in AI automations that are crushing it right now. Then I'd find out what resonates. So like, what are the content types, the formats, the styles that are crushing it? Little tip, by the way, is go beyond your niche, because if all you do is look at stuff within your niche, you lose the ability to think originally and critically, which is what I like to do. I pride myself on that. And so you just become a derivative content creator, which is not what you want. But you want to find what works, basically find what resonates. And then what you want to do when you're getting off, because on LinkedIn, it's hard to get initial traction, I found, because when you're first posting, you get like 1 like, 2 like, and there's no momentum. You want to get past the point where you're getting like 10-ish likes per comment, per post, and or at least 2 or 3 comments. It's more the comments that we care about. Once you reach that, if you're posting good quality stuff, you hadn't had the ability to start going up and going into stellar. And so what we do is every day, we basically get 20 tabs as people on it, and we get on every one of their profiles and we just drop value. Why that's so important is because your ICP, the person you're trying to target, is already following those accounts. So you're showing up daily. In that comment section, you're getting visibility, you're seen. People will then come start to follow you and engage with you and have meaningful conversation. This takes an hour a day maximum to create the content and engage with people. If you can't sacrifice an hour a day to grow your LinkedIn profile, then you got to ask the question, do you really want the results that you can get from LinkedIn? Because the sponsorships people get on LinkedIn, the deal flow, everything is insanity. So it's really worth your time. And then we copy what works. So why have I got Zynga Poker on there? The CEO of Zynga Poker had a very honest reflection recently. And I'm going to show you the funnel that we do on LinkedIn in a second that's crushing it, that you probably have never seen before. Zynga Poker basically said, the CEO, you do not know enough to create something new. Like, you have no right to create something new. I was like, what does that mean? Zynga Poker, when they launched, they basically found the best performing poker websites out there, and they copied everything on this website, okay? Down to the color of the felt on the board, because it works. And he said, once you copy what works and it's functional, you then, okay, do it better. So the way they made it better was they made it that you didn't have to download Zynga Poker to use it, okay? And just turns out that just by that process, you lose 50% of your signups. And then literally just by not even being original, they grew up. Now, I'm not saying you become, never copy somebody, but what you want to do is understand what works. Like, your time is precious. You don't need to spend all your time trying to create new hooks, because people have already validated the hooks that work, okay? We find the content formats that work and the topics that people care about. Right? That's kind of the game. And then you do it, you deliver it in your own style, your own unique thing. Now, what is the funnel? How do we turn viewers into buyers? Well, the way that it really works on LinkedIn is it's the same concept as Instagram, I found, where you basically say, comment X down below to get the thing. and then you send it to them. But what the top creators on a platform are doing is basically getting emails. And there was a really interesting content creator who attributes over a third of his sales to this one strategy. And I did the exact same thing. I'm going to show you what that is. And it's called an AI micromagnet. Now, the way that this works is, I'm going to sign in real quick. So we load up ChatGPT. We come on the left-hand side for GPTs, which is over here, I believe, in Explore. Okay. Now you're looking for My GPTs in Chrome. So here's the concept of this, okay? And I'm going to pull up a beautiful diagram to show you this. So the way the micromagnet strategy works is most people, you'll have a lead magnet, okay? You give them value to a problem and you say, if you want the resource to this, type a word down below. Most people, they get the word, they send them the resource. What we can do instead, and I've got hundreds of people do this, we basically, instead of doing that, we create a custom GPT. Okay. So for example, I did a custom GPT, as you can see here do you remember the exploding box where you would, basically give a prompt, and there's had hundreds of people use it. Okay. So for example, instead of just giving you the prompt, I put it in GPT where you needed to have a conversation with it, where you'd open it up. It's like, what kind of room should we explode? Whatever it is. You give it the information and then it gives you the resource in the chat. Now, what's really cool here, if I go down here on the GPTs, when you create it, you can actually give it loads of resources. Now, what happens is, what you say with this micromagnet is, once it's given the thing, let's say that we're teaching people how to make faces shorts, right? And we say, here's the prompt to get this really cool, reliable result every single time. Well, your Nano Banana prompt. Awesome. By the way, Jack, here's a full video, a 2-hour masterclass showing you exactly step by step how to take this to the next level. And so what we have now is the GPT selling them on the thing. So they get the resource, they get the custom GPT with your knowledge based on information, and the GPT says, awesome, next step is to then, if you want this to be consistent, or if you want to get 5 different versions of this, you can watch this video here. And then the GPT points them towards your master resource. And then that gets to nurturing, and then you convert them. And that's basically how they crush it. So another one is lead magnets, right? Or hooks. So Chris Donnelly did this. He's very big on LinkedIn, which is, I spent 4 years building hooks. I put them on custom GPT. Check it out down below. They get the hooks. It's all going to point them then to a resource, a GPT, and the GPT is going to say, cool, you got the hooks, but hooks without the body are nothing. Here's a full video breaking down how to get the body. Then they're in your content ecosystem, so you get a nurturing pipeline. And that's one of the most sickest lead generation things that you can do to absolutely crush it on LinkedIn. And if you thought LinkedIn was interesting, that is nothing compared to YouTube, the platform on which you're watching it right now. If you want proof of this, you're watching it right now. So hopefully that makes sense. So YouTube, I've made over $1 million specifically from YouTube and other platforms. And I've actually spent over $25,000 on experts. These are consultants that came into my team to help with YouTube, one-to-one support, really invested in my knowledge. Like this guy, you probably see him on YouTube, very, very cool, very knowledgeable. I did all this so that you don't have to. Even had a one-to-one specifically on my YouTube with the GOAT Hormozi. Now, I'm going to show you my top gens from over $1 million earned, a TLDR from spending $25,000 and Lux Factional stuff. And this YouTube segment here is just a very small truncated version of the full breakdown I did inside my community for my beautiful annual members. But I want to touch on some of the highlights here because I think it's really important. But first, I need to ask you a question. And it's how many hours, in fact, do you spend on content creation? And I want to split them across 4 categories: idea, packaging, scripting, editing, and posting. Because of YouTube, you get out of it what you put into it. Now, this is what most people think is important when it comes to YouTube. They think a lot of it is about the editing and the delivery. In reality, 80% of YouTube is the idea, the packaging, and the intro. In fact, the most amount of time that I spent on this video was actually the introduction, because that's the most important thing to really understand the psychology of it. I'm not going to get into too much depth in YouTube, but I want to give you 80% of what crushes on YouTube so that you can apply that to your content funnel and what the system looks like. Now, as I say, 80% is idea and packaging. And if you have a bad idea, you're going to get low interest. Like, it doesn't matter how good the editing is, the whiz bang, but if my video is about this purple bottle, it's just not that interesting. It's got to be something that's really, really interesting for people. Poor packaging will give you low clicks. But the question is, where do you find good ideas? How do you know what kind of content to create on YouTube to get leads? We find outliers. One of the reasons I'm showing this about YouTube is because a lot of people get leads for their agencies from YouTube. So we find outliers. You basically go onto a platform like 1 of 10. And what this will do is say, hey, well, based on your niche, these are the ones are performing really well. So for example, what this is saying here is, did you know that this video here, how to become so productive it feels illegal, this is doing 20.3x times better than his average viewed video. So for example, normally this guy's getting 1.5k views, but for some reason, this has now gotten 31,000 views and is doing 20 times better. What that tells us is this creator's created content for something that hasn't had a met demand yet. Like the audience wants something that they're not getting. And that's why it's so popular. So what we do is we pre-validate our ideas of this. And sometimes you take hundreds, but again, this is just finding out what's work. Like this video here, for example, this guy's really cool. I met him in Meg.com conference. If he happens to watch this video, hey bro, really cool to see you. This is a 56.1x outlier. Okay. 56 times better than his channel average. So we find these outliers. And you can do different things like multiplier views, video duration. The TLDR of it is you want to be at least 2x multiplier. But the thing is, if we look at this one as for instance, okay, the views, you want at least 10,000 views. Because for example, if I check out this guy, 2.7x outlier, but it's got 1,000 views. It's like, it could just be the case that this guy did a good intro to this video. Like that's not enough validation of demand. At least 10,000 views is what we want. So you can look at this, you basically deconstruct what do all the top performing videos on this topic have in common. You'd say, hey, well, the word insane is everywhere, which if you're in AI space, you know the insanity that I'm talking about here. All right. And as you can see, if I look at all these four things together, you can actually analyze and break down what they all have in common. So for instance, here, it's actually kind of like ironic. You're watching this, like, also it's like an AI business creator, but it's cool that we can chat about this, right? Like they all have a banana, they'll have a face in it, an expression. They all promise you some kind of results, and it's big. It's insane. It is incredible. It is everywhere, right? And so you start breaking down what these four things have in common, and you end up with a quick checklist, which is last 28 days, 10,000 views, 2x multiplier. Then you do competitive analysis. So for example, you go through automation niche and find out what have in common, and you journal ideas down every day, and you spend hours on those ideas. Then you got to understand that what you make is more important than how you make it, and you have to answer one question, which is your umbrella statement, which is writing down every problem that the avatar has, the business you want to help, and then you organize them by most painful. So for example, if you're targeting people who want WhatsApp systems or they're not getting good communications, we'd write down all of the downstream effects of that. And then you base your content on solving one of those problems, basically. And you want it to be, every video you create needs to be either big, easy, new, and safe, and ideally two of those things, and then you drive sales, okay? So to do that, you basically add value by solving the problem. You do it consistently, even when you don't feel like it. You get 1% better every week. You have a product that solves the problem that you're talking about. And then you include a link in YouTube. And that's it. That's basically it. And you just have a link they can click down below that solves the problem they talk about. So for example, for me, one of the things that I talk about on this channel, if you look at my community, for example, we help people get their first 5 clients, learn AI with a really cool, beautiful roadmap. And we've become really good at doing that, which is why I've got so many cool reviews and feedback on it. And so that's basically the process with YouTube. That's how you turn viewers into buyers. You suck for a long period of time, but creating content is important. I want to express that it isn't even just about driving clients for example, my consultancy, Teddy AI, right? Because it isn't just about getting people to come and buy, which they do. And it's really cool. We give diagnostics. This is like the main focus of my business. It's a social lubricant, okay? So when we book and help businesses with Teddy AI, one of the interesting things about it is that when they're booking calls with you guys and you're trying to get clients, one of the things they'll often do is Google you. And if there's content on your YouTube channel about you talking about the things, like let's say you're a lead generation guy and I go to your channel and there's, hey, lead generation for businesses. Here's how you solve lead gen. Here's how you do X, Y, Z. You are way more credible. And it's like, it actually will increase the amount of conversions that you have. You'll get more inbound lead flow. If there's a link they can click to come down and book some time with you, for example. So if one people want to chat with me, they can come and do that and get a 15-minute consultation with me to go through, or my team basically, to get a idea about their diagnostics, the development, the education of others. This is basically as simple as the funnel is. I create content for businesses, they enjoy it, they come down and then they book some time with me and we talk about how we can potentially help them and understand what the problem is. And we can do that because we've done it for so many businesses. And that's the whole key point. It's not just about lead flow. It's about credibility, that you have these things backed up. YouTube is an incredible platform. It is also the trust platform, okay? The more time you spend with somebody, the more likely you are to actually believe them and buy from them. Now, number 7 is something very underrated that no one's really looking at in terms of like actually getting clients. And there's a system. What you want to do here is go into communities. This could be school communities like this one. In fact, there are people I cannot tell you the number of people that have gotten offers and deals and partnerships and clients out their ears just by being in the community. I met a guy in London about meetups who said, dude, I'm working with so-and-so. I've just worked with them because I saw them on the leaderboard in the community and I wanted to watch it. It's actually insane. So the idea with the community site is you need to pick a community. It could be a school, could be Facebook groups, could be anything. And what you do is you go into these communities and you're just as valuable as possible. Again, it could be LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, school communities, and you just add as much value as possible to that community. You get known as somebody who is a value adder. And then who do you think they go to the second they actually need help to implement that thing? Like, it's genuinely crazy. Like, online communities are one of the biggest exploding trends right now that nobody's jumping into. And if you're not in the community, you should really consider it if you want to grow and accelerate it. Not just because of the fact that you actually learn stuff, but mainly because being in and around it, it really helps keep you on track with cracking down on your leads, and just lead flow and deal partnerships emerge as a result of that. So you want to find niches on the internet that have your ICP and with people trying to do a similar thing, because when you do that, your lead flow will genuinely explode. I've seen it so many times. It is literally one of the most unutilized hacks that exists. But number 8 is a profoundly powerful one. And this is the way that over 82% of people get their first few clients. What is it? It's their personal, with a capital P, network. Now, why is that so important? The thing is, you've got to think about this. Let's say that you and your personal network have 100 contacts, okay? And here we go. We've got 100 people right here. Very few people ever actually say to their network, hey, people, I'm X. I help Y avatar solve Z problem and get Z, Y benefit, whatever the thing is, right? If you know anybody, any dentists who want to, get 100 more qualified leads per week from their Instagram, let me know. Now, what's really interesting is everyone in your network. If I was to ask, for example, 5 random people, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, call it 4 people, okay? What do you do? Would they all tell me the same thing? Or would they all give me completely different results? One key thing you want to do is you want your own personal network to have a very clear understanding of the thing that you do, because I'll tell you why that's crucial. It's not just about whether they would buy, it's their network. So each one of the 100 people that you know, also take this guy, for example, here, he knows 100 people, okay? And let's say, for example, that you identified as, I am the WhatsApp systems guy, all right? And this guy, okay, knows, Jack builds WhatsApp systems. If it's like Jack does WhatsApp, he does bottles, he does this, he'll do your SEO, your PPC. It's like, the cost of trying to be good at everything is the cost of being good at nothing. If I do everything, no one can describe what I do. There's multiple people in my community, and there's one guy who literally is known for one thing. And I'm not joking. He gets leads weekly. It's really impressive. Now, the thing here is this. If I'm known as the WhatsApp guy, here, okay, Jack, I build WhatsApp systems. You want anything else? You want voice? You want this? I can talk to you about it, but we just do this one thing. I spent $25K on an agency who did only one thing, which was SEO. Now, I got my business's monthly unique traffic to 50K per month, which is really cool. We had about 3,000 customers off that. It was very, very cool. And I said, look, I've gotten to the point where I know 80% of SEO. What I want is an expert to take it from that last 20% to scale us into like multi-6 figures and stuff. Because we just got to the point where it just wasn't like the ROI of my time. And one of the reasons I went with this agency is because they said, we don't do paid ads. We don't do any of that stuff. We're a boutique agency. We work with 10 clients maximum, and we're just really freaking good at SEO. And it's 25K. And I was like, okay, cool. That's pretty much how the conversation went. So the point is this. When they know that you do this one thing, which is WhatsApp systems, the second that, let's say, for example, someone on the network, and we'll call this guy Dr. Orange, says, dude, I need some WhatsApp systems. This guy can say, oh my gosh, you need WhatsApp systems? You need to go over here to this guy because I know it. But if he doesn't know that about you, there's no way he can refer it. So the key here is that your personal network is the fastest route for you to getting your first few clients. It just genuinely is. We need to position your brand, be clear on your niche, but actually speaking to your network and being clear on what it is that you do, who you help solve what problem. Remember, all this talked about niche is essential. And now you've got so many leads, you don't know what to do with them. The next thing that we need to do is turn those leads into dollar signs, which you can learn by clicking the link in the top of the description.